Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today is all about what happens if your tomato plants are doing really well, but they sort of get out of control. Now these plants are approaching 4 feet tall. They're growing really nicely, but they haven't really been pruned in any way, and they're starting to kind of take over the space. And in another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's just going to be a mess in there. It's already a little bit of mess, but that is okay. We tried to kind of stake these doing a weave, but the posts weren't strong enough. These plants are going to get 6 feet tall. So a couple things to keep in mind. If you're going to do more of a weave, or you're going to set something up for them to kind of trellis through string or rope or something like that, you really need the posts to be about 8 feet tall, and that's including a good foot or two in the ground. You need them to be solid. This way you can kind of just put your thicker string, rope, etc. up here, and then you would weave the tomato through. So this just isn't going to work. The tomatoes over here looked just like that about a week ago. So we came in and we put single posts in for each of them. So you can put a post in late, just don't put it super close to the main stem because you will damage some roots that way. But there's enough roots in there, the plant should be okay. So let's just start with this guy, because it's not unusual that we get the plants in, we have energy, we're excited, we put the tomatoes in, and then they kind of get out of control. So this is what you do to get them back under control. It's not pretty, but it's effective. And it works. At this point, we removed the posts that were in there where we were trying to do the weave. They just weren't right. In a perfect world, these posts here would be 6 feet tall. Also includes a foot going into the ground, but the world's not perfect. So we're going to use these because that's all we have. That will secure the tomatoes and give us some time to bring in another stake at a future point. Got rid of the chamomile that was right there. Tossed it out. You want the airflow moving through your plants, and that will really reduce the chances for disease. We have 3 tomato plants in here, so we put in 3 posts. And here's just an example. You can see, you mean how beautiful it is. This is probably some sort of brandy wine. Really healthy. We're going to start spraying soon because the diseases roll in soon. But we want to gently now lift up all the vines. And again, it won't be pretty, they're going to be smashed on there, but we're getting it growing upright, and then we'll start removing some of the leaves. That's one stem tied up. This is vine section number 2 up on the post. And you can sort of see space opening right in between there, between the plant to the left and the plant to the right. The 3rd vine is up on the left, the 1st vine is up on the right, and that space is opening up. Now I'm going to finish this out just to show you what it looks like, and then we'll get to pruning leaves. We are going to do some harsh pruning because the plants again got out of control, and that's perfectly okay. It's going to happen in your gardens. On the first one, there's about 5 main production stems. I'm keeping most of them right now. I may remove one, but here's a good example. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really main stems here that are producing leaves and fruit and flowers, and those are the ones we're going to keep. There's another one right down here that's coming off and growing this way. That's just going to be too much crammed into there. So I'm going to just follow it down, make sure I have the right vine, and cut it and remove it. It's been removed and the plant still looks pretty good. And if we spin around this way slowly, you can see how much I took out of there. You're not going to be able to keep all the vines because the plants get pretty massive, so we do have to do some heavy pruning. As I was going through this, I thought this was the last plant. There's actually 4 tomato plants in here, so they're really packed closely together. What I wanted to show you, so I'm going to try and keep all 4, but taking a look at this plant, it actually is broken right there. So I'm going to, well, let me find my scissors. Instead of removing this all the way down, you know, at the base down there, we can just cut off where it broke. Or if you're doing pruning when it's not broke, we'll be doing some of that. You're just leaving the cluster of tomatoes and some leaves right there. So you can prune that way. They will develop, but this is not going to continue to grow, and it'll cause less congestion, so to speak, in here. So I got to finish up this space. This is where we're at. So the 3 plants have been staked up. There's space in between air, the air starting to flow. I'm going to do this side later, but it'll be done the same way. Also in here, right in the back, that is a zucchini plant, probably seeded itself, where somebody thought, you know, when everything was small, it could be tucked in there. It can't be. It's going to overgrow the space even more, so we are going to remove that. The space that we're working on looked more like that maybe 20 minutes ago, starting to look better. We'll get to pruning out some of the leaves and some of the vines, but we are going to try and keep this tomato plant, the one that I didn't know was in there, because there's just so many beautiful tomatoes on there. But we're going to cut it back a lot, so it's going to be really pruned back, but I want those tomatoes to develop. Chamomile's out. That was actually an acorn squash. That is out. And this is what we're really trying to do, is right down the middle, we have that airflow now. And the next step is to really get in. We'll start removing leaves. Just want to show you how I tied this up. You can use anything you want really to tie it up. There is nothing pretty here. Just leave, a big gap, pull it into the stake, get the vines so that they're growing upward. In a couple of weeks, they'll straighten out a little bit more. What we'll do is we'll come in and we'll get a bigger piece. We have a lot of bamboo that's 6-7 feet here. We'll put it right down next to this. I'll tie the bamboo to this post, and that will give us additional feet to really continue, trellising or staking this tomato upward. We really don't want to take off more than 1/3 of the leaves from the plant. We'll do this slowly over time, but we have them, back in a good position where we have them growing vertically now. So we're going to start at the bottom, and we're going to really remove all the leaves from the bottom, and we eventually want to have a good 10 inches of a gap between the soil and the bottom leaves. So we just start pruning. We're also looking for places where the leaves are, starting to touch, and you don't have to remove the whole leaf. You can just remove pieces. We're going to remove that whole leaf, maybe a part of this one. And it just opens up that space in between. And again, the airflow is starting through there. So I'm going to go through, take out a lot of the bottom leaves. Anywhere where leaves are crossing over or they're really in the core of the plant and aren't getting a lot of sun, we're going to remove them. So let me do the first 2 plants. Those are the leaves that we took out from pretty much 2 plants. Removed a lot from the bottom, and you're really wanting to open up the plants. Again, they're tied just to be tied up. You would get into here too and start removing leaves that cross over in there. I don't want to do too much more because I've taken a lot off already. I'll let this grow, water it in, another 7 days. I'll go ahead and start pruning it some more. But this is a really good start. Let me finish up the 2 down there and just show you where I'm going to stop. All right, I'm pretty much done. Notice the leaves are removed from the bottom. This looks much better. This is what I took off of the last 2 plants. Coming on this side, we have the airflow. This is what the plants looked like before. This is how they look after. There's one more thing that we can do also. In some of the places, let me come down here and spin around. In some of the places, the vines have just been almost sprawling on the ground. And that's what tomato plants are designed to do. So right in there, those bumps, those are root nodes. Coming over here, this was touching the ground. Those are root nodes too. That's nothing to worry about. But what we can do, and I'll go get some more soil from another place. There's lots of surface roots, first of all, on here. But just for the idea, you go get some fresh soil, and you could just mound it right on here. That will create root systems for this vine and that vine, and it'll just strengthen the plant. You could do the same thing here. Just mount some soil across here. This will all root into there, and you're going to have a plant that's a little bit stronger. But this is a really good start to recover your plants that were out of control, and they're going to do okay. Next thing I would do, certainly you want to water it in after that. Maybe give them a little bit of water-soluble fertilizer, help them kind of start growing in the direction they want, grow some new leaves up top. But you want to spray. So it doesn't matter what you spray. It's not so much the sprays that you use to manage pests and disease. It's the gardener staying in with a consistent routine. So maybe you're going to use a baking soda spray as your antifungal, and I would come in, spray your baking soda spray, and just start doing that. We're in later June right now here in Maryland. I'm actually at Freetown Farm today. That's when the diseases start rolling in. So I wanted to get this done, get the airflow, get the sprays down, and these plants will survive and do really, really well. Tons of tomatoes on there. Thanks so much for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com, and please subscribe. I'm going to show you how to stake up the peppers here, clean them up a little bit. They're growing really well, and take care of them very similar to what we just did with the tomato plants. Thanks so much for watching.